Yalla, shimmy, shimmy, ya, shimmy, yam, shimmy, yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Off on a natural charge, bon voyage. Yeah, from the home of the Dodge. It's Stevie's squad, Stevie Richards Fitness, Health Nuts in the house tonight early this morning, actually, here at twitch.tv/Hamin Media, Ben Hamin YouTube channel, and patreon.com/Hamin Media Group. It's the ultra declassified kayfabe Thursday taping of the Friday Locker Room. Y'all. Yeah, I got through it this morning. Is the Broasters Coffee, official Vince Russo Bro Coffee, courses through my veins, Hogan. I'll steer this Airbus right into the ground, Stevie. I'll turn it around. And you kids aren't getting any alien disclosure. I'm telling you right now, if you keep this type of shit up, I'm not going to tell you anything. Good morning, Stevie.
Good morning. If you're a fan of black magic markers and Sharpies, which most wrestling fans are, you'll love the report when it comes out. There'll be lots of black markers, lots of stuff for you to try to. It's like the old trying to watch the pay-per-views with the squiggly lines, trying to squint.
Good
Get
stuff.
ready for it.
That dates us right there. Looking, trying to steal pay-per-views through the squiggly lines. The old days. These kids don't know nothing about that, man.
Your link still works, by the way. Speaking of updated, that SWAT watch or whatever. That's still a great link.
Which one? Sorry.
The one you sent me a while ago is still good. I actually AirPlay it to the TV from my iPad, and it's clearer than any other stream. SWAT watch or something.
swatchseries.ru.
Yeah.
It changes as people try and knock off piracy sites. Like I imagine they will. It's been a bunch of things like S-Watch series, S-Watch series, but right now it's the letter S, watchseries.ru, and pretty much anything you want that's on Netflix, Hulu, regular TV is up there within 4 hours of airing. So shout out to all the pirates out there in Mogadishu or whoever's putting that shit up, man. I'm not paying for this because most of the shows are shit anyway. So why would you spend a dime on them when you can come here to Hamin Media Group and Russo brand and spend a dime, not a big dime, but get great content, man. It was a great week this week. Again, what's up, bud?
Well, these Netflix shows, we started watching a show called Sweet Tooth. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
I haven't.
Once again, another Netflix show, just like the Utopia show on Amazon Prime, where a virus gets out called the Sick, and you're in a post-apocalyptic world, and now hybrid children, like this kid Gus is a half human, half deer, and they're being hunted, and all these different things are going on. And we're a couple episodes in, and I'm like, it's interesting, but at the same time, the conspiracy horseman in me is just like too much predictive programming. I cannot sit through this while they're trying to spoon feed us this shit. You know what I mean? And what's the end game of putting this up? So I can't enjoy a show in fantasy land because I'm looking at it through the lens of who are the sick fucks that created this show to try to send a message out, which we know who the sick fucks on Netflix are. We know a couple of them that are running it.
And then, that the hybrid chimera, that's just the backdrop, because really it's about Guy Fieri's quest to find the perfect saltwater taffy in Sweet Tooth. So they just mix all that other shit in there.
Yeah, it's recommended if you could sit through it. I think Resident Alien is a really good one. We watched that from the Sci-Fi thing. Another one is obviously Low Key, is just came out last week or the week before. And that's dealing with all, multiverse, alternative timelines. It's kind of a good rabbit hole to go down. But once again, what is Disney trying to put out? What are these 5 major media companies trying to tell us?
And right at the same time where it's, Chinese labs are saying openly that they're experimenting with pig and I think it was chimpanzee human hybrids across the board. On the cover of USA Today, what supposedly was fictional with a baby and a deer, like all these little things make it like, oh, I'd love my baby to be part deer. Look how cute that is. For the Kardashian followers out there, not even knowing what they're actually trying to do or think about how fucked up this is. there is no God, and I'm down with that, but that doesn't mean you get to play God and get to turn around and fucking just start fucking up the gene pool completely, man.
Remember Man Bear Pig was a big joke with the Al Gore thing?
Yeah, super hilarious.
Well, it's not hilarious, and it's completely fucked. I can't. I have no form of entertainment. I don't think both of us or many people watching or listening. You're running out of all forms of entertainment because they just ruin it to every bit that they can. Sports is especially one, and I don't get shocked a whole lot, or I don't get the old punch in the nuts type shit. But Rich Eisen, who I've watched and listened to for many years on the NFL Network, and he has the Rich Eisen show. What a propaganda piece. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up the Rich Eisen YouTube channel, reading off the list of what you can do as a vaccinated NFL player, and then what you're restricted to not be allowed to do as an actually not a fully vaccinated. So even if you only have one of the three or one of the two or however many, I don't even care. You're still not allowed. You're not allowed to eat with the team. You're not allowed to work out with the team if it's more than 15 people. You're not allowed to see your family and friends while you're on the road. You're not allowed to eat in a restaurant. You're not allowed to leave your hotel. You have to wear a mask at all times. This is the funny thing too, and it's a little bit borderline tangent. How many people did we just see off a cruise ship that were vaccinated, and mostly all of them got COVID? The trick with the NFL and the PR level, and I'm skipping around a little bit, is that really stuck up to me was that if you have the vaccine, you no longer need to be tested.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have the vaccine, you need to be tested every day. Now, we know these PCR tests, with the way the revolutions work, they're amped up to a degree that it's going to find it no matter what, right? We've seen that with the PCR test. That the inventor or one of the inventors of the PCR test said, if you do that, you could find anything you want if you spin it enough. So there's the trick. So you might have a bunch of vaccinated people walking around with COVID, but they're not getting tested. So the numbers are skewed once again. And how's this translate into, like you said, vaccinated fans over here? Oh, vaccinated fans can drink beer. Vaccinated fans can sit in better seats. Right. Vaccinated fans can actually go down and take pictures with vaccinated NFL players. It might sound crazy, but we're heading in that direction.
But how are they going to be able to tell just to the fact that you have a mask on or not, or you have a piece of paper? Like, so now you're dealing with Nazi level stuff. People bandy that word around, but
for a smarter person, smarter people will see that the sheep will be their own police force. In other words, NFL doesn't have to ask you if you're vaccinated. But if someone in the crowd is suspicious, sees something, say something, how many Buffalo Bill fans are going to jump on somebody and beat the shit out of them in the crowd because they're not vaccinated?
It's happening. Believe me, dude. They want to beat the shit out of somebody anyway. So just giving them an excuse to do that for sure, man, is the ignorance will grow, the intolerance will grow, and this 2-tiered and probably possibly 3-tiered caste system of untouchables and unwashables will become the norm here for a small while, where those who are really in the norm are like, I'm done with sports. I'm done with you're not going to use the bread and circuses to get me. And even whether it's wrestling or whatever your flavor is, Dave Matthews Band concerts, they're going to have all that shit set up there to restrict your fun, to force your hand, to make things as uncomfortable as possible, and to take something that is fun and make it into a worrisome event for you. You need to feel that. So
Plaza says something really great here. And this is their terminology, not mine, but we need to start using the correct language, not to use their woke type of approach. Mm-hmm. We need to stop using vaccinated and start using injected, because they aren't vaccinated from anything.
There you go. That's a great point. I also saw, what's his last name? Paul, last name Paul, the top dude who's player for the Phoenix Suns, like just put on COVID-19 restrictions after taking one of the tests like you're describing, and he's their top star. And they thought, everyone's like, Suns are going to sweep the NBA finals, no problem. and now he's out indefinitely, possibly the whole time. Is that by design from somebody who wants him to take that test, who can find anything wrong, who they have it as a work planned out that another team was scheduled to win the NBA finals, and we can't take a chance on this guy, so we're going to put him right on the shelf and not fuck that. We're going to take that right out of there because we're going to bet $1 million on this other team. I think that's highly possible and more probable than anything else of like, he's feeling bad, needs to have COVID and be shut down.
I want to just finish up my Rich Eisen thing. This is the scary part. What he was reading off was one thing, but then he turns around and he goes, I'm paraphrasing, but he did use the word due diligence. He goes, you think you're being careful, you think you're researching, you think you're doing your due diligence. Just get the shot. Just get the shot. And then he started doing the John Travolta thing, like it's a giant. Just get the shot, And they all start and just get the shot. And he's like, so there you have it. Just get the shot. And I'm like, do not recommend channel on YouTube because I'm fucking done with you now too. I'm not. Once you do that, you cross a line of just no. I'm not going to. If you read it off and you're like, wow, they're really clamping down. Yeah, you just gave me a fair assessment. But when you do that, I feel like either there's money changing hands or the money is there and you're afraid of it being taken away. Just a quick analogy. I watched the Starlink review on Elon Musk's Starlink for rural internet, satellite internet, and The Verge is owned by Vox Media. Vox Media is owned by NBC Universal. Yeah, NBC Universal is owned by Comcast. What does Comcast have? High-speed internet. So The Verge completely buried Starlink. Oh, I can't get it to work, this and that, and there's obstructions. Meanwhile, this fucking guy's in a neighborhood pointing it at his trees, pointing it at the house, doing everything he can to not make this work. And this other guy came out and did a very, objective review in rural Connecticut. And he's like, this works great, blah, 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 what it's meant. And I'm just looking at that, and he straight up said, this is owned by this, this is owned by this, this is owned by this. Maybe you follow the money, like Papadon says. Sure. You get that. It's just at a time now where, my God, and now it's like, I don't even want to, I want to go back to tech reviews because I want to call all these motherfuckers out.
Right. I mean, it is rebranded, but it's very few like you and the rest of us here that will do the research within 2 to 3 degrees of ownership separation to see what the real story is and why there'd be a negative paid review that seems real and organic, but is obviously a propaganda piece in order to sway sales because they don't want to lose hundreds of millions of dollars as they raise the prices because of sites like swatchseries.ru and VIPbox.nu and watchwrestling.la and things like that, because we've had enough of their abuse, enough of their greed. And these are the things that they're continuing to spend their money on instead of wanting free information for the world to be connected. They want to have that master's control, man. And they, it's small sites on YouTube are the ones that have to expose this. I mean, it's gut wrenching at every turn, man.
And I speak from an objective point of view because I have Xfinity. I just had to switch over in my complex because they pretty much kicked out Spectrum, you know what I mean, which you probably are pretty happy about. So I'm happy with their internet, but let's call it what it is. I can be happy with my internet plan and the speeds and all that stuff while calling out the top, monopoly right there that they're trying. If Elon's thing sucks so bad, just let people review it and do that. Like they literally had to take out the time to tell The Verge, in my opinion, in my viewpoint, here's a Starlink. Make sure you people come out of it and you don't say Comcast is better, but Comcast is better.
Wouldn't it be something, but do you think this could possibly happen of that they would gate internet for non-vaccinated while everybody else gets a new super high speed who is vaccinated, and you're stuck on a second tier information platform until you cross over as well? Because if you're talking about true drug addiction and what we are, heroin levels of addiction, put your phone down and walk into another room for an hour and leave your phone sitting there. See,
I started doing that. I'm pretty successful right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a much more sane person than a lot of people who would, if I was to take that away from them, like they're a everyday heroin junkie, how they'd be itching for that information in that phone. I can see information, the drug of it, the dopamine release is a way to really force people into getting injections.
You're right. I mean, lotteries, Krispy Kreme, Shake Shack
College.
or whatever. Well, now free Uber up until July 4th if you're vaccinated. So then again, are they going to charge extra for our non-vaccinated? Or the trick is to not fully vaccinated, which tells you you better get the shot as quickly as possible. You better get the shots as quickly as possible. The passports supposedly are now operational in the UK. So then once again, the UK is kind of like a testing ground, like CCTV was, all this stuff, the surveillance state before it came here to America. So I'm wondering if all of a sudden the UK now, the people are going to be going to soccer stadiums and doing all this stuff. And then the people in the US are going to go, well, how come they get to do it and we don't? Well, here's an app.
And with Canada,
and if you use your vaccine passport app, your health pass, you get a free Starbucks. You get 25%, 25 cents off a gallon of gasoline. They're gonna do whatever they can to make it a more economical solution for you to do it in the end.
Yeah, they'll incentivize, no doubt about it. Every aspect of your daily life to make it feel like pride and to look down on others like, oh, they've got to pay that. What a idiot. I've saved over $70 this year on gas by being injected. Oh, good for you. Good. I'll pay the fucking tax toll then, I guess, because it's all about the pressures of making you fold, not about the health or anything like that. It's about folding to their will at the end of the day, So
here's an interesting fact that like goes along with the wrestling. Remember Lawler put out there that everybody had to be vaccinated by the June pay-per-view. That was, I think this Sunday's Hell in a Cell. Everybody has to be vaccinated by then. I wonder, we should keep an eye over the next couple weeks or so, or even Sunday, to see if somebody is not on the show because of adverse side effects.
That's interesting. And I wonder who that would be, who's a good enough worker, but doesn't want to break kayfabe and trying to fly under the radar, or if they put that mandate down there and it's all like, yeah, sure, pal. You know what I mean? Now we're going to have, here's what the next big thing is, that they're going to make fucking hundreds of millions of dollars on the 1,500 who are invested that created all this nonsense that has destroyed our world. It'll be a test to see if you're vaccinated. Not only is it going to be about the injection of getting it, there will be a time where it's just like, well, everyone's already vaccinated and we're going to test if you are or you aren't. Not if you have COVID, if you have COVID vaccination. That's going to be the next whole money maker in the next 2 years, to then be like, they're not vaccinated, get them. And fucking, you get tackled to the ground and your pants pulled down and they drab a fucking syringe in your ass. Sounds good, pal. I like that.
Here's another thought.
Like warlord days. I like that.
I can absolutely positively see this happening before that. If you lie about being vaccinated, it's a felony and you go to prison.
Awesome. Can't wait.
I mean, that's more then you get free prison labor. The prison population, exactly what they love having.
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote the crime bill in the 90s?
Yeah, the
who's the second worst person when it comes to putting sometimes more times than not, in what we've seen, innocent black men on death row and not putting the evidence forth to do that because she doesn't want to ruin her record for convictions.
What are you gonna do? The Ugandan giant, she don't play, and neither does Hillary or any of them.
Am I allowed to say she now? Is it still a thing?
It depends if you're gonna come out as bi for Pride Month and then say that you can like guys and girls, but then don't put over the other 70 pronouns. So does that mean you are sexist while you're trying to virtue signal that you're LGBTQ, but you don't want to get with the program fully and say that there's 72 different genders, but you only are putting over that you like two. I don't understand this level of hypocrisy where you want to shine yourself up as being partially homosexual, but then you won't get on the boat fully and really just fuck with everybody's head to the nth degree.
You know what happened? And I'm not even lying. Like when that starts happening, I literally it becomes white noise. So repeat the beginning of that again. No offense against you. I'm saying the actual subject. It must be a new defense mechanism.
I mean, there's plenty of
Aubrey and AEW.
Talking about Aubrey and AEW gets sent to me yesterday where she puts the tweet out that she comes out of the closet on Twitter, so brave that because it's LGBTQ month that she likes boys, both boys and girls, men and women, and that she is proud to now claim that she's bisexual in front of all of it with her AEW family supporting her. Okay, well, you're part of the big woke culture over there that wants all rights and trans rights and every other goddamn thing. But now you're saying there's only two genders. But I thought if we were on that program, there's 72 genders. So now inside the infighting of whatever the MO is that they're trying to push for LGBTQ, and they think they're coming out as cute, well, bisexual, that just means that you just knocked off 70 other genders. And are they not valid? You know what I mean? Or do we need tri, quad, quintuplet, septuplet?
Wasn't that pansexual? They covered that covers it.
I guess, to be honest, I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous, man. Of just like, do we need a tweet to put over all that kind of shit? Do we need all of that? Look at me, ooh, watch me, fucking stuff, man. And of course, it's got to come right in the month where, and even Cody too, putting over the rainbow shirts, and this is getting that, and you know, we're just so aware. Look at us, like how far ahead of the game we are, and that we'll sacrifice the integrity of our art in order to push a message that's nothing more than invented by Hollywood to stay over, to stay on top, to stay in the limelight, not really hope for someone's rights or not encourage young people to embrace whatever it is and not have that fear or not bully. It's just, look at how woke we are. We're special.
Now, as a talent, here's the thing, and you've seen it firsthand with Sonny Kiss and the other one when you're in the locker room, how it can be an absolute distraction. I'm not saying Aubrey is, but what I would say is, like, when people say that's great, I don't think either way about it. It doesn't matter. Like if she came up to me and you as we're talking over our match, and she said that entire tweet to us. And Aubrey reffed my match with Al Snow. And just knowing her from that night in the ring, but now you know her differently in AEW. She was one of the most competent referees I worked with up until that point. Because
what happened?
Well, I don't know. Maybe because just no boundaries, no coaching, and but in that particular vein, because Matt Yaden and Al Snow and other people were coming in to teach, she was always out of the way. She never took focus away from the match. I just noticed these things. She communicated back and forth to Al and myself at times when we needed it because we weren't near each other. Those were the things that really mattered. That's why the referee is super, super important in any match. The most important thing, actually, to make sure that production in the back and the match in the ring are kind of all in sync and everything's going the way it should. So very important.
That was at Rocky Mountain?
Rocky Mountain, yeah.
When we were there, she was there?
Yeah, she reffed my match with Al.
How do I not remember this at all?
Because she was the referee and didn't stand out.
Yeah, I guess, man.
She reffed a lot of matches that night, I think.
That's weird.
That's what I forgot. You were there, of course.
I don't remember her being there for some reason.
That's what a referee. She did not she wasn't invisible backstage, but
well, I also probably blacked that out because I had one of the worst matches of my career that weekend too. So that was I mean, I had a great time, but that I may have a black spot in my mind over it.
Maybe because you weren't woke enough. That's why you didn't have a great match. But what I would have done, if she came up, and this is no offense, but you know how Al is too. He probably would have said it before me. If she came up and said all of that was in her tweet to us as we were talking her match over, Al would have turned to her and go, okay, just stay out of the way and count to 3.
Right.
I'm just assuming. I'm not saying that's 100% what Al would say, but Al's funny. Al is all business. And he would just say, stay out of the way and count to 3.
But instead, all this makes them into a character that's beloved unto themselves. And now the part of their job where they're supposed to be the ninja is exposed, a bit.
Well, okay. So let's examine it just for a little bit longer. Let's go back to day one-ish. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Day one-ish of AEW and what they were supposed to be. And all the things they talked about in this big mission statement about equal pay and all these other things. All these things that they like Cody said, dipping our toes into the water. Mm-hmm. That was more truthful than you think, because we're dipping our toes to see what PR strategy or marketing strategy works best. But they're still pulling the same all carny promoter stuff. If they were really the caring promotion or the promotion that cared about human beings, why'd you pay those 2 guys from OVW $80 a piece instead of 2 something? And why did you ban Rip Rogers for calling you out on the truth? That's the carny part of wrestling. Then you're going to turn around and say, we're completely woke SJW. We have a transgender on the roster. To me, that's groundbreaking. Why didn't you push Nyla Rose more? Because then the real, how should I say, the real eye of looking at where she was at talent-wise and what she could do in the ring or even promos, you were like, we can't push her to that point because we're only going to be pushing her because she's transgender. They had somebody
just have her as a novelty to be like, see how woke we are on our agenda. It's like
that's what it turned into. But I think they had every intention of doing that, but they didn't realize that she at the time, who knows,
she was in the ring or he was in the ring. They didn't realize at the time how rotten he was in the ring.
Dude, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, these are things I understand. And I'm not saying there's a dual or triple or you talk about genders. How many identities does this company have that they keep dipping in and out of? Even the picture for the Lord of the Ring thing looked like the Island of Misfit Toys. And I know something about being a part of the Island of Misfit Toys, but it wasn't in an entertaining way. It was like looking around saying, and everybody who's standing next to each other, and then people are locking up in this GIF and fighting. It's like, okay, you just said everything you're doing is phony. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to that one little GIF on that Forbes, right? Was it Forbes?
Forbes, yeah.
The Forbes article that just completely exposed them as not knowing what the fuck they're doing.
Do you like Brandy having to be in there 9 months pregnant as the Virgin Mary, like holding the fucking stomach in the more?
She looked like she was in. Everybody stayed away from her. She would look like she was is in a bad mood.
Damn, your women's champ is in the farthest back and standing on the fucking ring post. Like, it just speaks volumes, man. I mean, it's exactly what you would expect it to be. In the pecking order of who's in the cool kids club, do you get to operate? And then, more and more rotten just talent things. I watched Joey Janela get interviewed by, I can't remember the guy's name, Marvez, and then Sonny Kiss.
He's really improving on the interviews too. My God, he's terrible.
Rotten. And Sonny.
So you're a wrestler. You like stuff?
Pretty much. And Janela does a terrible interview. Sonny Kiss comes in and pushes him a little bit. He takes a fake phony bump on the floor like he just got fucking nailed and pushed down. It's like the weirdest stupid little scene. But again, this is LGBTQ month. You wouldn't have Sonny Kiss and fucking Nyla Rose right front and center. But you wouldn't have Omega doing something to show that he is with his boyfriend. Like,
well, that hasn't come out either, has it?
Well, well, dude, go to New Japan, go to AEW botches and watch all the completely homoerotic wrestling that their champion has done throughout the years. It's not any secret at this point. I
used to wear Daisy Dukes and half shirts.
That's true.
I'm just saying.
But you weren't sticking your hands up guys' asses and pulling your pants down and 69 of them in the ring on a pin either. Well, maybe you were. I didn't go to every house show. But
no, Paulie would have definitely put that in the ECW TV for perpetuity.
But instead of taking and highlighting our true LGBTQ and alt community members on our roster and pushing them during LGBTQ month, who gets to carry the rainbow flag and sell the t-shirts? It's pretty fun.
But you can look at it one of two ways if that's the case.
Well, yeah. True. Maybe they are highlighting their LGBTQ talent.
Well, you're right though. This is a really, really big deal, this month. And this is where carny wrestling is never going to change. Spot picking is never going to change. The politics of the business is never going to change. And also the poison of putting all those things together to make you either an even better person or a much, much, much worse person. You can bring out the best or the worst in you. And it brings out you as a better person with perspective. No offense, you're going to end up like me or worse. You're going to end up in the spot I ended up in or worse. I was lucky to get as far as I did. Wasn't because of really anybody liking me. It was just like, shit, he makes everybody look great. We got to keep him around. Like it was literally no more than that.
Well, I mean, you hung
in there. They didn't want to. I know they didn't want to. But that's what you get for your developmental.
And even with Billy and Chuck, why wouldn't you? You got Billy Gunn right there. Why wouldn't you have him doing something? You know what I mean? Along those lines, to even dispel the old days of making, and why not? They love their apologies and their gotcha. That would be good for him to be like, I've done wrestling gimmicks in the past that weren't as considerate to the LGBTQ community. I'm glad we have people on our staff that are openly gay, and this time in 2021 that we can celebrate them. And I want to say, for my part, in the 90s, if you took offense to that, I did too. And I want to just say that I'm glad you're still with me, and thank you for forgiving me for my indiscretions. Like, we don't get any of that. We get none of that.
Well, we need only one person to speak on this very important month. Seth Rollins.
That's it. Get him. We need him in here quick. The underwear boner champion will save us all. Yeah, man, but he won't save us from today's headline, Stevie. You ready to
somehow rock? The Bellas have to one up this whole Aubrey tweet.
There's no Bella news today, unfortunately.
I'd make an amazing lesbian. Good Lord.
Holy shit, totes. Spill the tea on your lesbianism. Yeah, man. Holy shit. Where do we even start with this? There's one. Cody reveals a new non-wrestling project. Executive of AEW Vice President Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, you really nailed the wrestling. So it's time to just do some other shit, man. This thing's on autopilot. Let's let it go. Sorry, man.
No, that's good. Rhodes took to his community text messaging platform. And announced that Everything But Wrestling podcast, which he called a passion project. That's fucking funny, because that's what the A show was going to be called for a minute, was the Everything But Wrestling podcast. Excited to announce the little passion project I've been working on, the Everything But Wrestling podcast, Cody wrote. I speak with friends, family, colleagues about everything. The first episode featured Star Wars fandom versus Trek fandom. That's an interesting topic that's never been covered on Hamin Media. B&MV, Intamin, Potter houses, The Office, and a few more fun subjects. Coming this summer, Cody later indicated that Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose will be joining him on an episode about The Legend of Zelda and Nintendo Switch. Cody and wife Brandy Rhodes, who's AEW's chief brand officer, have a new Roads to the Top reality show that will be premiering on TNT later this year. They're also set to welcome their first child. Cody will return to the ring this AEW Friday night on Dynamite, teaming with Arn Anderson's son Brock Anderson, who will be making his debut against QT Marshall and Aaron Solo. Cody will then face Marshall in a strap match on July 7th. Road Rager edition of Dynamite on TNT. Stay tuned for more below is Cody's related tweet about his new podcast, Everything But Wrestling podcast, where, the guy's on top as an executive and got all that, but let's do the podcast thing that everybody who's future endeavored is doing too, to try and get in the mix that way, dude. It is a podcast about The Office and Star Wars versus Star Trek fandom and the Harry Potter houses. The best use of the American Nightmares time right here.
I could see them. They have the production. If they tried to mimic kind of what Rogan was doing without coming out and just saying it's everything, but like Rogan doesn't say I talk about everything but UFC. If it just had the tie, I mean, they have the performance center freshly power washed, not too far from here, that they can. The studio looks great though. You imagine having a Rogan style long table with the
Sure.
DDM yoga in the background and all that stuff. It's really great. I think they could do it. They have every bit of production at that building if they wanted to do it. I don't know if that's where they're going to do it.
Do you see Rogan? I mean, he still does stand up, I guess, but do you see Rogan on TV every week on news radio and UFC fighting in the UFC and doing that's kind of the difference of like
oversaturation and becoming stale.
Yeah. You're either the pundit and the commentator or you're the talent. Not to say you can't do both, but one's kind of a retrospective, not an in the moment. I'm a top guy and I'm fucking telling everybody about my hobbies, especially when you got everything else going on. And how many hours a month is dedicated to that. And if your numbers went from 800,000 to 560 to 460 to who knows what they were this week, shouldn't you be more focused on that?
Short answer, yes, but long answer, probably not. I don't know if either makes sense. I feel like we had this discussion. We've been having like off-air meetings with Russo, and we're going to have like now brand-wide meetings almost weekly, trying to figure out how everybody can have their niche. Trying to figure out also if things are being oversaturated, or even at our supposed low level without TV time or anything. What do we look at? I look at just even my brand with YouTube. Okay, how many YouTube videos I need to put up? If I put up too many, then the 3 I put up are going to be completely ignored.
Right.
I can't convert affiliate stuff or get people to my website without that. How do I streamline this? How do we be? You host 3 or 4 shows on your network, which you're trying to figure out how to pull it back so you're not oversaturated or stale or burned out or all the above.
We passed burned out a while.
No, okay. What I'm saying is that and I'm not putting us down. I'm just saying that Cody's at a very high level. He's dealing with TNT executives. He's the executive vice president of a wrestling promotion. It's owned by a billionaire that blows daddy's money, and that's been admitted on Forbes.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, like, we have to watch it at our level. He has to be especially aware to not be everywhere at all times, or else nothing you do is special and nothing you do will draw.
Raw did a 1.742 million viewers, but I'm not seeing an AEW number for this week.
What was last week's 1.6?
Yeah.
So they're going to be happy that it went up to 1.7.
SmackDown 1.9 million, so SmackDown over Raw by 200,000. AEW 487,000, up 27,000 from 460,000.
Well, here's the solution. It looks like that Raw went up 100,000. So Tony Khan, what you have to do is tell the fans, if you don't like it, switch the channel. That seems to work for WWE.
That's the way to go with it all.
Get them to come back by telling them to go fuck off. Good job, Hunter.
Okay, I will say this: when it comes to nerd stuff that he really loves, Cody loves Zelda. Cody love what he really likes. He's absolutely a complete nerd and passionate about. So people in that demographic, I'm sure, will enjoy his high level conversation on, what if you have the same hobbies as him as well.
Oh, I do, dude. I love Star Trek. I love video games. I love all these different things. And I would love to stream games and talk about them, do this and that. But once again, I have to make money. I have to draw money. You have to draw money. Russo has to draw money. We've experimented with those outside little things. They haven't really caught on. Do you really think we enjoy talking about these things on wrestling? Not exactly, but it's
what you don't.
Well, yeah. I was thinking about this morning for the first time. So wow, I enjoy it. It's exercising a lot of demons, and it's kind of a therapeutic thing sometimes. But
it's always fun for you and I to do a little car ride without having to go anywhere either.
This is great. The 5 hours to get to these shows is what the problem is.
Yeah, that's the fucking Guantanamo.
By the way, I did watch, if there's an NXT story coming up next, I did watch a couple of the clips from that.
Is there an NXT story coming up next? No, I mean, if there's something you want to put over on it, we did Next Level review yesterday with the vet, and I please enlighten us, man, with what you're.
I want to take time to put over the fact that there's a reason why people, to whatever degree or whatever level they were, like Ted DiBiase, and I'll mention Terry Taylor, because these two things that happen are kind of correlate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
There was the big brawl between EV2 and the TNA guys, and Tommy slugged Terry and Terry went down and sold it, to the point where some of the boys thought Terry collapsed and got hurt.
Yeah, but
he was just selling. The way the thing happened with Eli Drake and DiBiase, and when he punched it, the way it was set up, you knew it was coming that last second, but you didn't know it was coming. It's such a stark difference on a developmental compared to Raw and SmackDown, where it's like, here it is coming your way.
Right.
You don't need to tune in 2 hours from now because we just gave away the finish. And the way a 60-some-year-old man who's not in the best physical shape he can be in took a bump and sold the kicks that he was giving him, like the old
Garvin stomp.
This is a million times better than anything I've seen over the past since we started doing Raw SmackDown review.
Sure was. And let me ask you this. I don't know if the run-in was late or not, but I thought it should have just been the one and done where he goes down instead of the boots to him weren't bad, but don't you think that it should have just been one and done and no boots and then come in and roll him off, or you didn't need that excessive violence on it?
I think you should have just ended the show with him laying DiBiase out. There should have been no run-in and you just killed about 1 to 2 weeks of television. I understand what they were trying to do, but it should have just left with the heat. And you should have faded to black with people coming in and check on DiBiase.
Or would you have gone off with the return of Joe? Because there's 2 really unbelievable promos.
You would have separated those episodes. That's right.
I would have. Yep. I would. You had so much high level storylines and sub storyline payoff on this to do them both on the same show. Lessen 2 great moments, and Regal cut possibly the promo of his career, and then it was awesome to see Eli Drake, even though it was a babyface promo. While he has to turn heel in a minute. That's why it worked so well. But that was the first time I saw Eli Drake, LA Knight, aka Sean Ricker, as Sean Ricker the first time, talking openly and honestly. I'd never seen that voice from him before, and it worked very, very well. I was very intrigued by it.
Yeah, maybe he should put the Eli Drake or LA Knight shtick aside, and maybe this is a different character for him. Because he speaks a little bit more reality based. I wouldn't be opposed if Killer Cross laid out Regal and then Drake lays out they just 2 guys and then there needs to be a replacement, or Regal just walks off being basically castrated by Killer Cross. And once again, 2 things where you're left with heat saying what will happen next week. When Regal says they catch Regal on the way out where he says, I can't do this job anymore. I have to find somebody else to do this because I physically, mentally, and emotionally, I can't keep control over this roster. And walks off, fade to black. So now next week, what's going to happen? 2 things. What's going to happen? That's how you draw.
Now they did with Joe and being back, and now that tension's there. But yeah, there was just a lot packed into it that definitely could have gotten multiple weeks out of TV. Another NXT story here. On a recent episode of Wrestle Stink with Hausman, sat down with Alexander Wolf again, and he talked about his relationship was like with Triple H. He says, I'm not a guy who wants to get too deep into that. Maybe it's a different culture. For example, if you ask me for a meeting, and maybe I'll ask you twice, but as soon as you say, I'll get back to you, I'm not going to bother you anymore, even if it means we don't talk for 10 years. I don't want to run behind you and just beg for your attention. I don't do this. I don't want to kiss anybody's ass. I'm not saying that you have to do that with Triple H because he seems to be a very cool guy. I never had with him a really deep relationship, small talk. That's it. That's what it was. We never had a big conversation about anything. I asked him about a lot of things and thought I need to ask him because if it's an idea with sanity, and a lot of times with productions, I wanted to ask him because a lot of times when you ask a producer, he tells you to do this. A lot of times it's the opposite. And it's not hating on the producer, but you have to ask the boss how he wants to have his product. That's my opinion. Same goes with the main roster. A lot of times you're in the dark and somebody tells you to go right, but you have to go left because right's not always the best way to go right now. But when I had a question, I would go up to him and ask, hey, what's going on? I wasn't even sure how to call him because everyone calls him Hunter or Paul. And sometimes it was Mr. Levesque or, hey, boss. A lot of times I avoid trying to speak to him, especially where TV productions are so busy. He probably has other TV production in 2 days in his head, and then some other guys on the phone because his position is very busy. I always felt like he felt treated well and treated right because he's a guy who likes to talk with people. He is always open for conversation when he has the time. But again, I will not. I always feel weird, especially the last time I tried to talk to him. I felt like a freaking creep because I was always standing in the back just waiting for the moment. Okay, is he free now? And I tried to read the person. Is he in the mood to talk, or should I do it the next week or something? So at first, I looked like a creep just standing 10 yards behind him, always looking for an opportunity, but I feel uncomfortable doing that. I was trying to figure out where we were going with the story, but it is how it is. Dude, I mean, I've seen this 100 times. I've been in the Triple H role of this, and also to like, Danny, can we talk? Da, 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 da. You know, like on the office door. The best way to do it is just be a fucking man. Be like, hey, I just want to make sure I got this right, and walk up to him. Like, not, excuse me, sir. Can I get a minute? Are you busy? Right? Nah, dude, I'm here to take care of my business. Is now good? Okay, not bye. Like, and then go back and do what you got to do. Like, but this is how they fuck with your head of that's Triple H. That's Mr. Levesque. Is he Paul to me today? What mood is he in? Can I go talk about how my entrance for sanity, which is like the smallest thing, like, but that guy wants to take care of his own business. So I get it, but they just get you chasing your tail so much that you're wound so tight that you are then legit a sheep following him around like a little kid. Mom, can I have this at the store? Mom, like, you've seen this on 100 different levels, Stevie.
I've experienced it, but I didn't have the patience to wait by Vince's office all day long to be the last person. There's a game where you would be the last person to get the Vince to get your business across, and guys would be going in front of each other or looping back. I just want to wrestle. I want to get paid and go home. I want to do the best that I can. My energy, it's hard enough as it is without stuff like this. Unfortunately, wrestling has fostered the Stockholm syndrome where you get institutionalized to, like, when you leave, you thank them for this treatment, and then you never want to do better than that. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yep.
You think that's the height of your life and your career.
And for him, it might be because he's still doing the Triple H is a nice guy and he's this or he's that. And I don't know, like, dude, we're just men. Like, I don't have time to like.
But they don't play that game. They don't present themselves that way. They know they have the power. They don't present accessibility.
If you give it to them and they see you 10 yards away, oh, can I do this? Can I touch your boobs? Can I like, it's that same fucking little beta instead of just being like, hey man, this is phony wrestling. We're both wrestlers. I need fucking just making sure that this is what you want so I can provide your vision. Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Well, I want to give you an example. One example of like the time I stood up front, not for my business, but wanted, to just sit down and see exactly what my place in the company. Huh?
Clarification.
Clarification, and also a little bit of coaching and guidance from the owner of the company. You know what I mean? Who just, let me back up a second, because there's an example. They're always trying to make an example. So Lana was an example with the table spots.
Well, she's going to spill
Now,
the tea.
there's a few times examples. Then there's an example of, hey, Joe came back, so maybe there's hope for me. They dangle the carrot.
Yeah.
That's why Wolf is kind of still baby facing, because Joe didn't say anything bad or shoot on the company, and they brought him back. Maybe if I play, there's two ways to look at it. Now, there was a town meeting I talked about before, and there was multiple ones. So this might have been the second or third talent meeting where Vince specifically put myself over for bumping, selling, telling a story, even though it was on a secondary show. That's exact words. The way I worked, and it was my matches with Bob Holly and then my matches with somebody else. He was like, the way Stevie can bump and sell and work, even in the short match, he goes, that's good work. And he goes, I appreciate that kind of work ethic. Okay. You kind of dangled the carrot in front of me, right?
Right.
If there was ever a time to pull Vince aside or ask for a 5-minute meeting, wouldn't you think that was the day to do that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I go in and I have a discussion with him, and I basically said to him, I was like, based off what you said, I go, I want you to give me more opportunity. I want more opportunity. I go, whether I succeed or fail, test me, put me out there, put me in there with somebody you don't think I can have a good match with. I'll do my best. And if I don't, I'll fully accept my plate. I'm paraphrasing what I said, but basically put me in positions to test me to succeed or fail. Put me outside my comfort zone, whatever box I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I sat home for 4 months after that.
What is his reasoning for doing that?
There was no reason, because it was like, why should I? And after that, I never met with him.
But I'm saying he goes from a point of putting you over. So is that, and I'm not trying to belittle your work by any means, is that him just having to do a rally the troop speech where he puts over a guy who's not at the top, and then so he can put pressure on not like Cena and those guys probably give a fuck, but at the same time putting it over to be like, look at this guy, he's fucking doing it, and he's not even on the main roster. I'm not saying it was a fuck you to the old guys.
No, it might have been just like, this guy's one of our fucking like lowest level jobber talents, and he can fucking work. Why? Now he has said that in different meetings about myself and other people who have outworked the top talent and so on. So I'm not talking Rock and Austin. I'm talking about after their era, like that top talent. We've been dressed down in a backhanded way, and that's why this meeting, which came after those meetings or between those, I said this is different. Like if you said, look at Stevie, even he can put a match together. I'd say, yeah, well, I'm a piece of shit to him. Do you see what I mean? And then, what's funny is society reviews. I think what buried me was this was during the ruthless aggression era, which he thought was a shoot. There was a mention of, you don't really have a reputation for being an asshole. I said, that's true, but also like I hold my own. I don't let people walk all over me or anything. I have a quiet respect, and I just do my job, and that's it. I think that might have been the answer to fuck me over. Like I wasn't willing to stab people in the back.
Yeah, instead of like, I'll fucking cut this guy's throat. You're like, no.
I'm sure there's meetings of people where they're like, dude, just tell me who the fuck. Because I see the way certain guys just all of a sudden become role players and start stirring the pot and doing all this shit. And then all of a sudden you're the target for no reason. You're not doing anything different. It's your turn. It's a weird thing, man. And it's nothing has to do with making money.
I just wish I could liken it to some other type of strategy, because it's so random.
Raj is wrong. A couple days. This was on a Tuesday. Do I wait till next Monday? He said I should have gave it a couple of days before I met with him.
I think his news cycle in his mind of things goes so fast that it was that
6 days would be like 6 years. It wouldn't have worked.
Yep. So yeah, that's interesting.
It's not a boss you see 5 days a week.
The mind of a madman. Yeah, just to be on his mind and whatnot, that he's watching a match on Heat between Holly and Stevie when he's trying to think of, 90 other fucking things. But then we take our own self-importance much more seriously, you know, and we might have a skewed view, but it doesn't matter. That's just you don't put a guy over on your roster. Hey, here's my salesman of the month right here. These guys, let's do what they're doing, and then you take that salesman off the sales force for 4 fucking months and sit him on the sidelines. That makes no business sense whatsoever. And even especially having a meeting that was a positive one, be like, all right, that was a positive meeting. Now fuck that guy. You know,
very much.
Yeah, like what the fuck. Here. That we'll save that one for later. That's a good one. Impact Wrestling to make an announcement this week. Impact to make a Slammiversary announcement Thursday. George Iceman, host of Iceman's Intel segment for Impact, noted on Twitter that he is hearing rumors of a dangerous stipulation match in the works for Slammiversary pay-per-view. Impact retweeted the post saying it had an announcement coming 12 p.m. Today on Thursday. So there's no word on what that match will be, but PW Insider Mike Johnson via somebody recently speculated that
Ultimate wears a suit to the gym and they're in the ring.
It could be Buck. I don't know if you'd have the inside tee on Impact. Recently speculated that Ultimate X, well, he would because it'd probably be coming through Cardona and Hawkins, will be brought back for Slammiversary X. X Division champion Josh Alexander is currently being pushed after it was reported that the company wants to build the X Division title up in a major way. So I wouldn't doubt if that came from Brian Myers to Mike Johnson. But big, Ultimate X maybe returning for Slammiversary. They sold that pay-per-view out pretty quickly in Nashville, man. So I was glad to see that. And, you know.
So there's going to be people there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. First pay-per-view back, yep.
Because wrestling in front of no people is not fun. Doesn't look fun at all, does it?
No, not even a little bit. It's bad when I see on the indie shows, and there are plenty of indie goofs, people I share locker rooms with who are doing, dude, I saw a girl take a fucking sit-out power bomb or some shit on a fucking gym floor for 15 people. I've seen people scorpion themselves doing dives in empty arena wrestling. I'm just like, get the fuck out of here with that, man. Like, so stupid, so senseless. That's why I'm glad I didn't do any empty arena shows during this time. Not one.
It hurts enough. It's too much like wrestling school, like where everything hurts. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, I was gonna go on Twitter and ask if there's any wrestling schools in the Atlanta area, because I don't feel like I'll be welcomed at the factory anymore after that. I got to roll around a little bit.
You put over the podcast, you're fine.
What time?
You put over his podcast, you're fine.
Yeah, I think it was all the other stuff though.
I think I think you'd be a great guest on there, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't, dude. If we were talking to be like, we can have our opinions and we can have our viewpoints, we can have all this stuff. Isn't that what inclusion is all about?
Everything but wrestling. So there should be common ground there. Though we should forget about the wrestling heat and share our love for Star Trek and Star Wars together. And I'd love to see him on the new Force Order podcast. I mean, I don't have heat with him. It's just the fucking choices and the virtue signaling that we have to call out of, like, I'm not saying I'm gaming Stephanie, but I'm doing everything that is gaming Steph. Like, okay, you know, like, I got a huge respect for the guy. Even still, he treated me very, very well, even as a very, he's 7 years younger than me. Even as a young man, he was fucking very cool to me.
Yeah. And if there's anybody in that company that I'd want to step in the ring with to trust my body with, it would be Cody. Probably. He'd be the number one guy, and then probably the veterans that are retired, like Arden Tully or somebody.
I would probably go Dustin than Cody for me, but I agree with that fully, and Jericho too.
There's a guy, David, who said something in the chat room. I try not to ignore this stuff. He said, Stevie, if you bring it up, David Moriarty, which is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. There you go, Dr. Moriarty. Or is that Sherlock Holmes? But he was in a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, too. Yeah. When Vince said that in that Battle Royal for the World Heavyweight Championship, it wasn't for that. I think it was for a title shot. Even you could win. Did you know he was going to say that? And what happened backstage afterwards? If I remember, that's why the meeting that I'm talking about was it was different, because that was like the joke of the day. And it's just funny. If I was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL, you can make fun of me all day for being one of the worst. But in the fake subjective business where my spot was predetermined by it's predetermined by your downside too. So don't be surprised if the guys who come back with a lower downside, Ben, don't get pushed as much.
Because now they've devalued themselves and they don't.
Some kind of mark thing where you come in for less money, so we're always going to treat you like you made less money. So, yeah, I mean, that's just like that kind of stuff too. But you know what that does? Like, you know, at the time it hurts because you put everything you can into your body, you put everything you can into your work, and it's just always going to be viewed as a joke. And the harder you work, the more they're going to bury you because it's so funny to see you come. It's like a quarterback. Oh, this quarterback's throwing like 50 for 50 on in practice in a training camp. Let's make him 4-string and fuck with him because he's doing really good.
They did that with Gable and Jordan.
Yeah.
You know,
and it really is like, it's some ways. I'm glad it all happened. I'm so thankful for the spots that I had to keep me humble in the business. And I've seen both ends of it. I've been on top of companies and I've been on the bottom and then somewhere in the middle. To be in the spot I'm at, I don't have a false sense of self-importance. I don't have a false sense of, as a matter of fact, I go the other way, right? I don't think I'm over at all, which is what a real businessman should do, is not to assume you're over. Try to figure out how to get over all the time. It's kind of like a mind fuck that helps you succeed. But if I had been fostered throughout my entire wrestling career and paid really well and treated well by these extremely phony, evil people, I would have so much of a wake-up call and a crash back to earth that day when I got released, where up until August 2008, I would have been promised you have a job here for life. And then all of a sudden, Vince wakes up one day and changes his mind, which is literally how I lost my job. He just woke up one day, changed his mind, and I was gone. Now imagine if I was fostered and coddled and in the bubble, and I thought I was as great as they said I was, even though they were truly just lying to me for a long time. And then I get this world outside that says, fuck, I haven't watched wrestling since Austin and Rock. Who the fuck are you? Imagine that. Imagine these people that are getting released now who think they're so over. Braun. Do you think people really know who it's 6 months from now? Do you think people are going to remember who Braun was?
You know, if they have the memory of an elephant, you know, that's one way to do it.
There you go. That's a good segue. Is there a story on that? But I don't regret any of it. But in some ways, I do feel like I wasted a lot of years of my life almost waiting to get noticed by Vince in the office to get the opportunity that I worked hard at every single day for almost 10 years. Days off too. Moving my entire life to Connecticut to be closer to the office to try to be available. And they never, even though I would drive to the office myself, every time I showed up, it was like, what are you doing here? I want to learn how things work outside of the ring. No, you can't do that. You got to go.
I don't know. What's your take on what's going on with this type?
The first word I would think of is normal and masculine.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go that way, then what's your take?
Normal and masculine. I want to put over your group too, Ben, because this got me. This was the best.
Well, it's you and Elon together?
Me and Elon in front of Tesla. They even knew me well enough to know that I wouldn't go for like that super expensive P100D. I would go for the mid-range model. There you go. Actually blurred out. It looks like Nyla. It didn't focus.
Kind of. Could be. Maybe I got it wrong. Yeah, and you know, Braun showering on the street with Mojo Rawley and then dressing like Tiger King. I mean, it's all right there, man. But to your point is, it's about being able to handle it mentally and how far in the bubble you are with the Stockholm syndrome and what the whiplash from getting that bubble popped is going to be and the strange behaviors that follow it from carny people.
there's still a part of me that just wants to reach out to the guy.
Reach out, man. I'll work with him. I'll interview him. I got no heat or anything like that.
Well,
but
even just like, I know there's people that are probably contacting him and maybe just wanting the news or just wanting the dirt or what he's going to do next. But just to say, hey, dude, I've read about like where you've been and the ups and downs. Are you doing okay? How many people are really truly asking this guy,
that's true.
Hey man, are you doing okay? Because even in the wrestling business, your friends are kind of like, you kind of got to be self-absorbed to a certain point. Like I trust you and Russo and our people because we're not in the wrestling business.
His types like his EC3 and
Spud.
Spud, you know. So I hope those guys are looking out for him. And Spud and EC3 have always been cool to me. We're all Rip Rogers guys, you know. So they absolutely get it, even though EC3's been fucked over 16. Imagine that whole fucking story you just told about him. Imagine the headspace he's gone through back and forth, man. That's got to be rough. And I think he just signed with ROH, so I'm glad for him that way. And Rockstar Spud can get anything over. You know, he just knows how to do it at a great level. But yeah, I hope they are watching his back. Or I mean, you know, whatever with the elephant play or what have you. I don't need to go in and bury the guy for that. For playing with elephants. Why would you? Jim Cornette and Brett. What is this? Oh yeah, wrestling legends to release their first NFTs. Interesting. Jim Cornette and Hall of Famer Bret Hart are set to release the first ever non-WWE pro wrestling NFTs this summer. NFT startup Rarities has announced they will drop their first officially licensed Cornette NFT on June 27th at noon. A one of 500 edition NFTs are priced at $75, and the one of 100 editions are priced at $195. One of 3 signature series pieces have started bidding at $1,000 and include a signed ring-worn Cornette suit and tie with a letter of authenticity. There's also a one Cornette face NFT with a starting bid of $2,000, which also includes a signed ring-worn Cornette suit, tie, and tennis racket with a letter of authenticity and a personalized video message from Cornette. Rarities will then release the first ever officially licensed digital collectibles for Bret Hart on Monday, July 5th. Tiers and pricing information on the Hart NFTs will be announced soon. NFTs are non-fungible token digital collectibles. There has been an increased interest in technology this year after the market tripled in 2020, reaching 250 million. The buying frenzy has continued this year with millions of dollars in sales and no signs of slowing down on the new economic bubble that was created similar to the dot-com bubble. Twitter's Jack Dorsey sold an NFT of his first tweet for over 2.5 million this year, while singer Grimes sold around $6 million worth of NFTs for her digital art. Digital artist Beeples became the first person to have NFT artwork listed in prominent auction house Christie's, where their every days, the first 5,000 days, sold for $69.3 million, bro. I still don't fully understand this. There is a guy that I used to manage for a little while. He's a musician in Rochester, former wrestler and announcer with Upstate Pro Wrestling. His name's Phil Godcloud is what he goes by, is his music producer name. But he was on the very ground floor of this NFT stuff, and I still don't understand it much, aside from that it goes on the Ethereum blockchain and has its own special place that you have to pay like $200 to get it listed on there, depending on the value of it. But whatever the digital currency of what this is and existing in the ether space, still I don't really understand it fully. But he's been being brought into Sony and a lot of big music companies that are going to be putting money into this in the next year. So it's something I've been kind of keeping an eye on. But I know to even get it onto the DeFi and the blockchain, it costs like $150 to $250 to create a piece of these arts. But if they're selling for 69 million, who gives a fuck? About 250. But that does kind of keep people locked out of it who are just want to be, you know, day players in this. But I feel like there's got to be, I feel like I could sell the $5 face slaps, resell them on there, you know what I mean? Or put them all together and sell it as one big piece all together and sell the original 50.
So they're not physical pieces of anything. It's just a digital thing like Bitcoin where it'll live on this server. in this
And
blockchain.
now you own that picture of Jim Cornette's face. So if you were to resell it to use as stock for somebody, you're the one.
There's not going to be multiple ones of this, or is it one of? Does it have to be one specific thing, or is it one of 1,000 collectors? Or
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They might have one Jim Cornette video where he's fucking smashing somebody with a fucking tennis racket, and they sell 500 versions of that. One of 500 are the owners, but the one of this pic of Jim Cornette, his face, that's why it's worth more for the value of it, like any baseball card type scenario.
Well, we know how volatile that's been over the years. It's coming back because there's a finite amount and it's limited, much like land and real estate.
Yeah.
We're not financial people. We're not going to give any advice, but I would say this based on what you said, and I know the way you are. If you don't understand something, you got to research it before you throw a dime into it.
Completely.
And it's not a thing of, well, I got to get into it because everybody's getting into it. And look what happened with Bitcoin and this and that. And well, Bitcoin and crypto can be shut down like that by the government if they start to regulate it. The crypto has set itself up. The government is giving it in a way enough rope to hang itself. That's what I'm seeing right now. It's almost to where the sheep are just like the sheep are begging for the injection. The sheep are going to be mad that other people are making more money. And why isn't the government coming to save us with their own digital currency? And why can't we have a tattoo right here?
They are coming with it. There's no.
I know they are, but I'm saying that's why they're letting crypto and other cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency, and even these NFTs, you create the wild, wild west. So the government comes in and lets everybody understand what it's all about, because we'll make our own version.
Right.
That's why it's lots of, if I understood, like I remember years ago, I thought, man, if I just throw 500 or $1,000 in the Bitcoin, what's the worst that can happen? I'll just lose the 1,000. Little I know, at one point it was worth 64 million because it was like 3 cents or 5 cents or whatever.
It's
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm just small playing right now, but when we started this show, my crypto of one of the ones was at $317. So I've already lost $24 since the show started.
That was after it went from 64,000. Now it's 35,000 or something, or around that.
37 right now, but I diversified and put some in AMP last night, and I was up off of it, and now I'm down. They just lost today. So it's, it's not for, and at a $300 level, I'm not like, oh, this, that, or the other. I'm just looking for quick $15 scores here and there. I couldn't imagine having 30 grand in there, dude. My stomach can't handle that kind of fucking sway.
Gully Blanchard said that it is regulated to some degree. What I'm saying is that I know there's been a couple incidences where, because they didn't have to, one guy died and there was like billions that was in there, right? Years ago, one guy died and they didn't have the password to get into it. And then other people ran away with money, didn't they? Off of it wasn't Bitcoin, but people are creating all this different crypto and creating scams off of it.
And I was thinking about doing a Hamin coin over NFTs, but that's interesting. Like, if there's carny money to be made, who is going to be the first? And so it's Cornette and Bret Hart, man. So if you want to own those NFTs, who knows where they're going to go? But I really feel like
an NFT of him shaking my hand.
That'd be worth some serious money. I don't know. All this shit seems like Beanie Babies and Garbage Pail Kids cards to me at the end of the day, Cabbage Patch Kids.
Well, I remember there's an entire industry of malls. There was malls with baseball card stores where these guys were driving like Porsches and all that. Like, it couldn't have been hotter, right?
Right. I did the Hamin with Stu Stone. You can go listen to that still, I believe, on my YouTube. And then 2 of my clients are Cooperstown Connection and Seventh Inning Stretch in Cooperstown, New York, right next to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And their store is Hall of Fame worthy unto itself. Just what he has in there in autographs from everybody from Babe Ruth to fucking Don Mattingly to Mike Trout. You know what I mean? He has everything on baseball poster. Mike Tyson, Godfather, Al Pacino, Mayweather, tons and tons of sports collectibles. And the market for cards has been down for 20 years because of COVID and sports being restricted, right through the fucking roof, bro, of double, triple the value of everything he had in there. Mariano Rivera, autographs, rookie cards, autographs, all
just
that
finite amounts of anything now has value. Land, real estate, even automobiles, used cars are up. God knows how. I probably trade mine in for more than I ever could right now, and it's nothing special. But yeah, it's very interesting to see what's going to happen with the economy. I still think the safest thing, at least that I've always been trying to do, is just investing to get a rate of return that beats inflation. That's the safest thing that I can think of.
If anybody wants to buy my Mark McGwire collection, you're welcome to it.
I got cards up on my gym wall. Those might be worth, like my cards over the years. I'd be more than willing to sell all of them.
Well, as an NFT, they might be, because if they know they came off of Stevie's gym wall as opposed to out of a pack, that's what makes them fucking.
Let's see if we can make some money off this.
Drew McIntyre responds to criticism of his WWE title opportunities, even with only a little year in the main event seen under his kilt. Drew McIntyre is unfazed by the hate. Speaking with Ryan Satin on Out of Character, the former WWE champion clarified that he appreciates the feedback, but is hardened to petty criticism. He says, these days, because of my journey and all the ups and downs, I'm so hardened to criticism, but I never worry if it's constructive criticism. I appreciate constructive criticism. While he's relatively new to the world title picture in the grand scheme of things, McIntyre has been linked to the WWE Championship for about every monthly pay-per-view since 2020's Royal Rumble. The Scottish Warrior noted his fans' opinions, but puts things in perspective. I understand some fans may be like, I'd like a new fresh face in the picture, said McIntyre. Realistically, I've been fighting for the title. I've been a champion for over a year now, and that's a pretty significant time. But I think, actually, this is out of character, so he's probably talking without his accent. But I don't think anyone is saying, oh, my goodness, Drew's not working as hard as he can to give us the best matches possible and do everything he can with every interview possible. Oof. I think it's more, I'd like to see something different here and see Drew do something different over there. Yeah, I agree with a lot of that until that last part about the promo where we just had to sit through a William Wallace killing people on the fucking bridge Braveheart promo that had absolutely nothing to do, which he admitted in the promo, with his Hell in the Cell match, which was nothing but to kill time. So is he trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit? I'm sure every week through this COVID thing. Huge work ethic, looks incredible, looks like the star that you want. And if people are getting oversaturated with him, well, then we do need to find a creative way to keep him fresh. But William Wallace and the Bruce and all that fucking shit, and I'm surprised they haven't done that, because wasn't that William Wallace's buddy something the Bruce, and I'm surprised they haven't gotten that in to get a rib on Deuce.
The only thing Drew can do now is maybe, it's a tough spot to be in, because he's basically the COVID champion. He had to fight throughout all that stuff and try to get stuff over. And his big run was with no people. His title run, or his title win, the first one, no people at all, in an empty performance center against Brock.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough spot. The only thing I can see to freshen him up is for him to tell all those truths and turn heel.
Yeah.
Every bit of them, that the company used him during the worst time. And now, like, you expect me to just step aside now that we have people back and all this?
Oh, shit. We don't need that one because we're already an hour and 18 minutes. Barry Horowitz claims that Matt Bloom was disrespectful to him during WWE Performance Center talks. Barry Horowitz spoke with Wrestle Inc. and said, my last hurrah in my career, besides doing little things, is to be a coach of some kind of the PC or training center so I could pass my knowledge on to what the Malenkos had taught me. We're not training for 2 or 3 months, and you guys that's been in, we're not training for 2 or 3 months, and you got a guy that's been in the business for 3 years. I've been in the business for over 30 years. I paid my dues. I've trained by the best in the world, bar none. I don't care who wants to talk up and do this. Maybe I've been biased, but if we can't get the logistics out and the terminology and whatever else you want to pull out of your hat, Malenko's the best. He says, I live an hour from the performance center. Is my word not getting through? I don't know, because think about it. You've got Stu. I just want to make it more flavorful. I don't want to take nobody's spot. I don't want to take Shawn Michaels' spot, Norman Smiley, Matt Bloom. What do I know about Bloom? Nothing. He was Tensai and Prince Albert, 2 gimmicks that failed in a year, and he disrespected me over the phone completely. I mean, how dare you? I'm not going to compare myself to these gentlemen, but Ricky Steamboat, Flair, Hogan, the list goes on. Jimmy Valiant, Rufus R. Jones, Johnny Weaver, Roddy Piper. How dare you say, Barry, you've been out of wrestling for a while. Like, I'm just going to get off the couch and I need a job. I've surrounded myself by this. And he says, do you know who our CEO is and world champion? First of all, I don't care. Second of all, if that's my only flaw, when I get to the building, take me in a room for 10 minutes and you could smarten me up and I'm up to speed. What you need to worry about is, does Barry look the part? Is Barry in shape? Does he need to look good to our students? Does he talk good to our students? Does he bully our students? Does he show up on time? Does he have drug problems? No. What are you afraid of? You should be, because I'll take your fucking spot in 1 minute. Not trying, knowing. There's a difference. Trying to take a spot or knowing. I know I'm not perfect. I'm a lot better than these other clowns. So I find it highly disrespectful, especially All Elite Wrestling. It's right up my alley, and all the wrestling they do there. I know some of the guys that are behind the scenes. I have no idea. And if I have some kind of hidden heat or something, I'd rather somebody call me up and say, we just don't like you. You got heat. But I'm seeing guys taken that have had fights on airplanes that worked for Vince McMahon or caused problems. What? Is that what I need to do? I'll pass. I'm legit. I'm real. I don't play that shit. Barry Horowitz, super jacked right now too, man, in really great shape. I saw a picture of him posing down, and then there's one here where, you know, he actually looks younger than when he was in WWE.
When was this whole thing, this exchange with Matt and everything? When did it happen?
I'm not sure. It doesn't really outline of when he called up there, but I got to go back to the Santino story of where it was told to me that he went in there to try and get his daughter, who's again looking to get signed, but this was earlier on, like 2-3 years ago. And, you know, Santino's trying to stump for her to get signed, and they're baby facing him. And as soon as he walks out of the room, it's the eye roll of like, fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. What'd he ever do? You know what I mean? Feeling of the coaches having power and abusing it instead of looking at what's best for second generation stars who's got money written on them. The politics of this guy trying to do something, so we'll stop him in his fucking tracks as well for no reason. Like, at least Barry Horowitz is talking about the bullshit and calling him out on it, man.
Well, he's not wrong about Matt Bloom and the fostering of just this toxic atmosphere of cliques and all this stuff in a place where everybody's really supposed to work together to make these kids the best that they can be. Mm-hmm. I think when you're a guest trainer, which I was in a performance center for a week, you're being made to feel, I guess, like you're starting over and you need to pay your dues as a guest trainer when you're there. Very weird atmosphere, like kiss the ring, bow to the head coach or whatever.
When there shouldn't be any of that there. It should all be
but all they're doing is trying to completely marginalize you and take away your credibility before you even get there. Like you said, you know, worried about keeping your spot. Because other people, I don't get it either, dude. It doesn't make any sense. But he's not wrong. I would say that I don't know why some of that outwardly is good. Then some of that I would just go and ask the question. Sure. I mean, does he want to go to AEW and help out there? And Barry's one of the good guys. And Barry's you know, even though we're all crazy in wrestling, but Barry is a health nut. Barry is a guy that has always lived. Swinger used to travel with him, and he would just be vitamins, this and that. Got to get to the gym. Got to diet. Got to save my money. Save my money. I got a family at home. He saved just about everything he could. So he's definitely somebody you should look up to in the business as far as how to maybe that's why they don't want him around.
It's a perfect rub for a guy in NXT too. I mean, everyone would like to have the winning career, but I'd rather be on TV. That's a great thing to be like, oh, dude, I've lost and now I need a mentor. I'm gonna get myself a life coach. And then somebody hires Barry Horowitz, who's known for losing the most matches, and you pass the torch of that gimmick and get him back on camera, doing the fucking pat on the back, all that kind of shit in a new way. Like, there's a lot of opportunity to make somebody there, but this old school 80s, 90s mentality of throat cutting at even the coaches level and the fucking disdain for each other constantly, it's just built into these guys' DNA. There's no way for them to shake it.
It's a tough story. I mean, it seems like he's really hurt by it, but he takes great pride in it. I saw some current photos actually up on WWE.com. It was weird. I went Barry Horowitz. I don't know where they put those up there, but I searched for it. I don't know. This is the systemic problem with the company and maybe with the business. Like, you have that, but you don't want to bring in other flavors of work, other voices. You just want Matt's voice, Sarah's voice. And then I only even include Norman and Robbie Brookside, because I think those two guys really would try to do their best, but within the system, we're just trying to keep our jobs or whatever. And who can blame them at this point?
It just pops me of like, I just wanted a shot. I'm not there to like take anybody's spot. I know they got these guys. And then 2 paragraphs later, I'll take your fucking spot, bro. I'm the fucking man. Like, that's what I love and laugh at, of just like, dude, they got to bury him because of Tensai and Prince Albert and things that weren't going to get over. But now he's holding on to that top coach spot like it's fucking the end of days and like the power play. It's just like, oh man. It's
you
never
kind of take a little bit of your own. You can take your point, your very valid point away when you start doing ad hominem attacks that can be put right back on you.
Exactly. I don't know. It's just, it should be about the product and the learning and all that, but it always ends up being packing order, politics, fuck this guy, make them sweat it out. All those things get stacked up before we ever get to what the true id of what we should be focusing on. Stevie, you can use the code PSL to access current pre-sale for SummerSlam. But the main pre-sale kicks off on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can use the code TWEETS for that pre-sale, all caps. It remains to be seen how many tickets were released for pre-sale Monday, but several thousand were already sold for SummerSlam. And at one point, there were more than 2,000 people waiting in the Ticketmaster queue. Ticketmaster also listed current capacity at 41,661, and that number is for the full event, not for the number of tickets to be released for pre-sale. Current ticket prices available for SummerSlam. You ready for this one? 300, 325, 350, 400, 425, 475, 500, 556, 5700, 1000, 1150, 2000, 2750, 3000, 3150, 4000, 4250, 5000, 5150 sold. Are the prices for certain floor seats that come with a commemorative SummerSlam chair to take home and the option to buy a second chair. If you spend $5,150 on SummerSlam,
give me that number again.
$5,150 for a SummerSlam commemorative floor seat. I suggest you spend $250 and go buy a fucking shotgun to put in your mouth, because that is asinine, and you really need to focus on your life goals.
Actually, with inflation, shotguns might be $5,150.
Could be at the
ammo.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude! You talking about trying to pass the savings along to the consumer?
Holy shit, bro!
Man, leave the S off for SummerSlam. Jesus, I mean, I can't, dude. There's people out there that are going, I don't want to pay $5 for Peacock because the UI sucks. Then oh man. Hey, if you don't like it, don't buy a ticket, right? That's what I would say.
You got it, brother. And I wouldn't spend $300. I'd be like, God damn, that's the lowest level, $300 for SummerSlam. Okay. WWE star reveals his.
Can't wait till they say we're still implementing. That's the new promoter line for a Lighthouse. COVID restrictions.
Yeah, we're
social distancing.
WWE star reveals his property was stolen in a recent Thunderdome theft incident. I saw that. They got the guy on camera leaving with a bag full of shit. Garbage bag, maybe. But Sheamus took to Twitter to reveal that it was some of his items were stolen on June 5th. University of South Florida Police Department made a tweet asking the public to help identify a man who was caught on video stealing items from the Thunderdome at the Yuengling Center, which sits on the University of South Florida campus. A lovely fella stole me cross. I'd appreciate that if you internet sleuths could track it down and return it via details below. Ringside seats reward when we return to your town, and many beers, smiley faces with sunglasses emoji. So you can get a $5,000 ringside ticket at the local house show if you want to stooge off where Sheamus's Celtic cross is. There are pictures. Oh, it's that really nice one too. The fucking bigger one he had made, so I could see why he's hot about it. But
what if it was less than $950, like in San Francisco? They can't prosecute, right?
That's it. That's small.
Guy walked out of Walgreens with
his
bike.
All the shit. They're not even answering petty theft calls now. The cops won't. That's why they're doing it. Eric Rowan on if WWE had plans for Bo Dallas with the Wyatt family. No, there were never such any plans because it's a character, not real life. So they didn't want to tie him with that. That's a stupid story. We don't need to go in on that. I wonder where Bo Dallas, or if Bo Dallas is done, or where he will show up. You know what I mean? Will there be an opportunity there? We know he's with Liv on the chicken farm or what have you, but I don't know. Is that family ever going to be able to recover? We talked about Bray having a new gimmick possibly that he's going to come up with that doesn't have any myth or magic. Just like, again, this guy's got to reinvent himself. Come on, man. Possible new ring name for Piper Niven revealed. The Evolution has officially arrived to WWE Raw this week, Stevie. As noted last week, Raw saw Eva Marie make a return to the company with NXT superstar Piper Niven, that they didn't answer and even mention her name. Niven hit the ring, surprised everyone by taking on Naomi and dominating her for the win. Eva announced herself as the winner of the match terribly, and then Niven joined her at ringside for a hug, but Eva didn't even look interested in Niven. While WWE did not identify Niven on Raw, word on Fightful Select is the new ring name pitch for her is Dewdrop, Dewdrop, or Dewdrop, Doudrop, but nothing is official as of this writing, Stevie, so we can decide which way we want to go. Dewdrop.
How long is this? No, I mean, how long is this story? Get me Dewdrop.
Yeah.
I love these stories, and this is also like, I know they do it on the one that charges $13 a month. They'll go through with the whole thing that this story, we have a story here where this is happening, and then the last part of the story is we're not sure if any of that's going to happen. Right?
Yeah, we're not
like,
sure.
Her name is going to be Dewdrop, or it's going to be Dewdrop spelled this way or that way, but also it might not be.
Soon after Piven, I like that. Piper Niven made her debut on this week's Raw. Social media was flooded with messages from fans criticizing former NXT UK superstar for being overweight. Several superstars have come to the defense of Niven. Mia Yim tweeted, "The body shaming is disgusted. Y'all bold behind the screens. It costs nothing to be kind." Bronson Reed says, "This happens to me every time I'm on screen. Don't worry about the haters. They can stay hating. We keep shining." As well as her putting shine bright. Nash Carter says, "Bet they can't be a champion in WWE and be able to put dudes through a wall. You're the man," to old boy there. And Charlotte Flair also puts over Mia Yim's tweet about Piper Niven. So show up sloppy and get over now. I feel like this is my time, Stevie. If you got Owens, you got Piper Niven, you got Reed, I think there's no time for a better time than for an out-of-shape terrorist heading into 9/11.
Yeah, I mean, you just tell them, like, I don't need to know full, like, curls or reps. Just part of them, kind of like landing and taking off with a plane. You don't need to know that.
You don't need that.
Just know they'll fly it. So you approach your workouts the same way.
Yeah, man.
So, okay. So you have Charlotte getting on Twitter as a heel. You have Mia Yim, who was a heel and defending this girl on Twitter. Not that, listen, this is the thing, getting on Twitter to defend somebody. And this is where I guess, like I said before, I can put this phone down for an hour or two, although it took work, and not miss anything, because when something happens in my life now, I don't feel like I need to tweet it out. I don't feel like I need to share it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
These people could just as easily send the girl a text or a call and say, hey, I saw this tweet. Are you doing okay? Don't worry about them. They're fucking just whatever. You want to start working out together or prove these motherfuckers wrong? No, it's just, hey, I put a tweet out, so I'm done. It's kind of worse. You're kind of like, you probably never had a real conversation with her to talk with her about it.
And Charlotte's supposed to be a monster heel who's retweeting Mia Yim's praise with the fingers of this tweet. This is the one you need to see. So blowing off her business, which also Mia Yim obviously not getting what's going on with people being fired for social media indiscretions. Meanwhile, they sit on the sidelines and not debuting and continue to do the exact same behavior that is probably hindering them being back on TV based off of payback, get back. And now they're trying to virtue signal and bring somebody else down to their level as well. It's all Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. Can she be the overweight chick of what was the Bertha Faye and be that? So she stands out? Absolutely. And are people going to fat shame and body shame? Yeah. Well, guess what? If you're out there trying to be the chubby girl who's dominant over the fucking athletic glow crotch fucking Miami Heat dancer girl, then you live the fat girl gimmick. You Bastion Booger wasn't going, how dare you shame me? No, if you're going to stay out of shape and you're going to be dominant in that respect, looking like a Wisconsin fucking, middle sister, then so fucking be it. But don't be like, I'm big and beautiful. And then I'm not putting heat on Piper Niven, but look at how triggered WWE fucking millennial stars, I use that fucking term very loosely, they can't even stop themselves. They have to fucking come to battle for it and trying to ruin the gimmick of what if she was just like they wanted to go that way of gluttony. If that's what they want you to do, you play that fucking part. You come out eating Cheetos, whatever the fuck it is. But like, they just gotta have the fucking social means of how dare you do this shit.
She looked good in the ring too, even though she looked like she could wrestle dudes.
Yeah,
like all her stuff looked good and sound, and she didn't do anything crazy, but it looked like she was beating her up.
Yeah.
So.
But how long until we truly do get a Nia and fucking Piper Niven eating competition for something? It's coming.
Or how long does she become a Nikki Cross type over the top cartoonish character?
Yeah.
Or they start messing with her. Like, you've had her under contract and she looked like this. You could have very easily have told her in NXT, this is what you got to do to go to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they're not allowed to say that.
But a girl like that, too, they're not going to sign her. And then we go, we want you to lose 120 pounds and become a little sex kitten. So the fact that she's supposed to be the out of shape, bigger girl who looks like a real American, I guess, at this point, she's kind of the body type of most American 30 plus women, and she's from UK. Like, why are they coming to her aid? Like she's like faltering. We just saw her. They want to slam on these marks who've got something to say about it, but the gimmick is she's working the fat girl gimmick. That's what you are on the roster, and it's not like she doesn't know that, so but now we have to defend it, so we've taken the teeth out of it already.
I think you should focus much more on like how they really paid off the vignettes for Eva Maria.
Oh yeah, dude, like
That was the whole. So she's standing on a car, being the cool, sexy woman, and what does that mean? She's the badass chick who is into high level fucking racing or into dudes with money who can afford top level cars. Okay, that's the sex appeal we were trying to get across. Then they make it the humanized. Hey, I'm a influencer. I'm sexy, and I want you to be the best you can be. I want people to learn from me and do this, that, or the other. And I'm here to inspire. And I'm that's what I'm back this time. Okay, so she's whatever, Susan Powder. She's fucking Tony Horton. She's whatever. Comes out with the heavy girl as a manager. Doesn't do any fucking promo beforehand to pump this girl up and show that a life coach and that, you know, you can do it.
Explain why she was taking her place, why she wasn't wrestling.
Or the fact like you're down 20 pounds. I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? To just show she doesn't really have to be, but you allude that. And we see the girl's bigger and that's a motivation for people at home of that, like all the motivational shit that we were led into for 8 weeks. Instead, she just walks her down, looks like the hot chick with the fat chick. And then at the end, after Piper Niven does a great job, takes the mic and declares herself the winner, Eva Marie, and the most annoying, don't like me fucking voice, you know what I mean, heat spot to steal the spotlight after we've been conditioned that she wants to be an influencer who's helping people. But now she's just a cunt who comes out with the fat chick and steals the spotlight. That's what we got on Monday after all that buildup. Probably one of the worst sad trombone bullshit fucking things that we've seen, especially in the firing of top stars. And then her tweeting like, hey, well, at least you guys still got me to debut. And then we get that, bro. A fucking complete fart in church.
So what's their plan now for?
I think probably more of the same. I think Piper Niven will come out. They think it's funny to have the skinny girl with the heavy girl. And then
what they're going to do is they're going to have like two or three matches with the singles.
Yeah.
2 or 3 matches with the singles. Then another 2 or 3 matches. They said Adam Pearce says you have to be in the ring and we're going to make it a tag match. The girl beats her up. Eva Marie comes in 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row and gets the pin.
Yep.
And they might become tag champs.
Maybe. Can Eva Marie even work?
No, that's the whole thing. But they'll still make them champs.
Will there be a split between them? Will there be a split? Piper Niven goes over and Eva Marie's gone right away? Or will the Piper Niven stuff just stop happening and Piper Niven goes back to NXT, never to be heard from again? That was the peak of what she was, because they're like, we can't have somebody who looks like that on our TV. Well, we've got one. We can't have two. Will they do that? Or will they do a big and beautiful thing with, what if they had that with like big and beautiful with Otis, Nia, and Piper Niven together?
I think there's going to be a potential split between WWE and Eva Marie. So.
You think of those? That's the first one that she's gone as fast as she came through and was debuted. I mean, we've seen it with people in the office. 6 weeks you're hired, and then we're building a team for creative. Gone. You're gone. 6 weeks gone.
I just don't understand it, dude. I don't get it. That's valuable TV time that you just.
Yeah. I thought Piper Niven delivered, man. And I didn't have anything on my screen where I was like, ugh, this girl, look at her. Like, I like the fact that there's, more real looking women as opposed to women who are getting $40,000 injected into their face of fucking botulism.
Yeah, that's one way to go.
Unfortunately, and hopefully he doesn't go. I hate to use that as our segue for our final story, but very serious here. And I know we try and end on an oh my god, but I wanted to save this to wish him the best in his battle. But former TNA announcer Don West diagnosed with brain lymphoma. Former on-air talent Don West has been diagnosed with brain lymphoma. West Radio Show, the Don West Show on News Radio 560 KPQ in Washington State, has been on hiatus of late. West issued a letter last week to announce that he was recently diagnosed with brain lymphoma and that immediate treatment will begin. West said he's hoping the chemotherapy will help him heal faster so he can get back on the radio soon. Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett took to Twitter to send prayers to his good friend and former employee. He says prayers up for a great friend. Don West just hung up the phone with him, and he's in great spirits and ready to take on this challenge. West worked for TNA from 2002 to 2012, returned in 2017 to the merch department. He did some guest commentary at Slammiversary. But I'll read his statement. Hello, everybody. Don West here to tell you about how disappointed I am in not being able to talk about the Seattle Seahawks, the Mariners, the Wenatchee Wild, and everything else that we love to talk about on the Don West Show. Many of you have wondered where I've been and why the show's on hiatus, so I wanted to share this news with you directly. I've been diagnosed with brain lymphoma and will begin immediate treatment. I want to thank my wife, Terry, for her love and support, my wife, and everyone that works at Cherry Creek Media and KPQ. I also want to thank the Don West Show's incredible sponsors and my friends for all the prayers that are coming my way. I'm praying the chemotherapy will help me heal faster, and hopefully I'll be back on the radio soon. I can't wait until all of this is over and to be back with you again. Love you all, Don West, man. Mark McGuire rookie card, bro. That's one's for you. Very tough diagnosis. I hope he pulls through, man, and that the wrestling community rallies around him. And then when he does beat this, he gets the celebration that he should. And not that brain lymphoma is anything to say, oh, it's minor. It's because it's not. But it seems like this karmically something always happened. I think about Bobby Heenan, dude, like the guys who have the gift of talking, speech, usually when they get hit with something, it's like a throat cancer. Bobby's with the jaw, you know what I mean? So it takes away that. And not that brain lymphoma can't do that exact same thing, but usually the karma comes on a guy who's known for his voice as attacking his voice, you know what I mean? So but very tough diagnosis there, and HMG is our best thoughts are with him.
Same here. And just something like this. What was that?
My OneDrive isn't signed in.
Oh, that's important. That's much more.
Yeah.
Just
random.
I want to see what because I know people had ALL, which is a lymphoma, usually in your chest, a mass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the lymph tissue of the brain or the spinal cord. So it's lymphoma. It's a cancer that gets in there. Sometimes it could be a tumor.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's a brain spinal cord thing, obviously surgery is really tough, I would assume. So it would have to be chemotherapy unless whatever the quickest way for him to come back. I mean, this puts it in perspective. And I'm looking at Don's show out there in Seattle. I never knew that he was doing that kind of work out there on a sports show out in Seattle. So he's had that show for quite a while. Good for him.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure they miss him. I mean, when you have these local radio people that have sports and his voice is so, I would say at this point, legendary. People say he sounds like a used car salesman, but when he was the heel commentator in TNA, he found his fun Jesse Ventura type approach to it, and
I mean, we liked him even before that of, Belly Song Switchblade, where he's selling 600 knives for $9.99, like all that shit that you would buy at any county fair that somebody bought an overstock of $200 knives. Like I could watch that shit all day of people.
Gem in 10. Was it Gem in 10?
Yeah, Gem in 10.
That's what Crash used to say. Gem in 10. And he'd laugh. He embraced it. He was a character, but he's also a smart guy and a guy that the business could probably still use, but it's good to see that he's doing something outside of that. And I hope to God that he recovers quickly and without any kind of pain or discomfort or side effects from the chemo, and he gets back to work, because he is a guy that wants to work. That's probably what's killing him more than anything, that he can't do his radio show out there every day.
Mm-hmm. But hopefully maybe there's an alternative where he can broadcast from home while he's recovering just to keep his spirits up. But a guy who can inject incitement into any scene, Barry Bonds rated rookie, whatever it is, man. And definitely a great part of TNA's history and the voice, one of the great voices of TNA that's iconic, man. So hate to end on a lower note that day, but I'd rather wish him well instead of some stupid heater Bella's. Oh my God, you guys, he's got lymphoma. Like, Stevie, we
think it's the new iPhone. iPhoma.
Oh man, well, we made it through another 1 hour and 48. I appreciate you sticking through the headlines, man. There was a couple other ones of people being buried, but we don't need that shit in our lives this morning as we try and stay positive, progressive, and business minded. Big days here at HMG tomorrow. Big day at Russo brand with a company-wide meeting as we're going to try and keep things on track. I was doing through a bunch of tutorials last night trying to educate myself on the back end of things. So just keep pushing forward, man. What do you got going on today, this weekend?
I'm actually arguing back and forth with Luke Hawks about flights because I think he's wasting his money bringing me into Wildcat, but he thinks differently. Other than that, I may go to the Apple store and trade in this iMac and get the new 24-inch one. Because one thing I'm trying to figure out the setup, like the camera's here, but and you might not notice, but I hate the fact that when we're doing these shows, I'm looking at you, but it looks like I'm disinterested and looking off to the side. So I'm either going to get the 24-inch, which has the better FaceTime camera, so I can look directly at this. But I want to show everybody real quick what the quality is on the FaceTime camera. There's the difference. I mean, it doesn't. For the other one, it doesn't. It's not perfect, but still, it's a little better. And or I'm going to get a teleprompter monitor setup where I can look directly into the camera and see Zoom calls, StreamYard calls, and look right here and see everybody, or have it off to the side. I got this big thing back here that's like has the place for the laptop and camera and all that exciting stuff. Everybody's bored already. That's fine.
I'm doubled up too, but I got it on the there's us, but then when I read the headlines, I'm looking off to the side.
Yeah, but where's your camera? The webcam's down at the top there.
It's on the top of the
Yeah,
monitor.
but you don't look like you're looking away. This is this iMac is so much taller that it almost like if I look up, it's gonna hurt. That's why either the teleprompter gimmick, seeing everybody in that glass, might be the way to go, or the 24-inch iMac with the FaceTime right here, which means I'll still be looking above. I don't know what the fuck.
When you hear
it gives me a headache. I think I'll just go out and tan all afternoon. How's that?
That's good too.
I will get the blue one. The blue one's the only one available right now. Someone asked if I was get the blue one.
There's only a world order.
By the way, I apologize. I couldn't quite put in the words the Don West thing.
Yeah, it's
just hard to put in the words when that word is so terrifying. Cancer, lymphoma, and for him to be positive and be wanting to come back to work and talking about that takes an immense amount of strength to not just get sucked up by the immense gravity of that C word, or now that L word, and in the brain area too. It's just fucking tough, man. I think people around him probably feel the pressure more than he does. He just tries to ignore it. So that's why I can't put it in the words.
I don't know about the mortality percentages, and I don't want to, get into negative talk and like that, but it's serious enough. Brain and cancer, I mean, right there, dude, just take care of what you need to. And, regardless of the outcome, we hope for the best, but we thank you for everything, that you've done to add to anybody's match or tried to create an experience for a fan, or just being a part of the business and legacy. You know what I mean? I'd rather say those things now while somebody's still with us, even if they're in a battle. And, you guys go to his Twitter if you're hearing about this for the first time, and please wish him well. Those small endorphin shots of we're thinking about you, when he might be having a bad day could be enough to, really make a difference. So, and even just saying thank you, you don't want to be listen to Friday Locker Room and hear that somebody's passed and be like, man, I had the chance to say I really enjoyed this, or you know what I mean? Maybe send them a Mark McGwire rookie card picture, you know, make them laugh.
10. Hit them with a gem in 10.
Gem in 10, yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, no, I get it, especially with everything we've been through and losses in our families, and everybody has. I don't want to say it's what we have too. So take that opportunity to represent for somebody in your family that you might not be able to say something to because they're gone because of horrific disease like this. And, you know, that maybe here's your chance to put a little sunshine in somebody's morning, man, on a tough day. But yeah, it's never easy to break that kind of news. And I just wanted to save it to the end so we didn't, you know, have to go down that road right away. People asking how Gracie is. I'm actually going to give Gracie one of the dogs of war. She's got hemolytic anemia, and she's some parts of the day better, and then others she just kind of laid out on the floor. And talked to the doctor yesterday, and the numbers were there, but she was 20 pounds, went down to 12 pounds, bro, and not good. But now she's back to 15, so that's positive for us. But her energy levels aren't there. But I'm going to be giving her, along with a new med they prescribed today, a steroid that actually just what it does is shut down her pancreas immune system, because with anemia, you're creating red blood cells and your body's thinking they're poison and it's fighting it off. But I saw and I talked to this lady who was nice enough to contact me through Messenger using for homeopathic aloe vera juice. And giving them that, she had a Lhasa Apso just like Gracie, and same problems, and actually had really great results with it. So I'm going to try that as well today. But she's happy, but you can just see when one of your, you know, pets isn't feeling good and she's just laying on the cool floor trying to make it through the day, like you really feel bad. But somewhat stable, putting weight back on makes me happy. So that's a positive, but thank you very much for asking. She's eaten. We've, you know, got all the best foods, and we got the diet, and she's doing all that kind of stuff. You can just see her energy levels are low, and sometimes she's kind of like out of it. Like, where am I? Which scares me, you know. But we've already had to kind of like prep ourselves with a discussion, because the only other thing to do is blood transfusions if the medicines don't work. And now you're talking $7-8 grand, and you got to talk the other way. You know, you got to be like, I'd not rather have to put her down, but the quality of life of what I want her to live, you know what I mean? As opposed to what we can really do for her on a, is this going to work? And it's a condition in small breed dogs that are usually in the middle of their life, and usually in the spring. And if they're spayed, she meets all of those criteria. That's when they usually are most susceptible to that. So I hope she's strong and kicks out. And this is just kind of like I guess likened to like a lupus type thing. Maybe for 2 months she might be down and then she can come back, but it could always come back and get her again. So we're just, you know, giving her all the love we can, and hopefully that she makes it through, because she's strong, and she's, you know, got plenty of years ahead of her, hopefully. But I'm glad that she is putting weight back on. That's a good sign to me. But I just wish her energy levels are up. But thank you for asking. It's definitely on our minds constantly. So,
well, I know you're not the prayer type, but she's definitely in my prayers, and our prayers for that animal lovers. What's it?
A lot of people have been saying the same thing, and I appreciate all the good thoughts going out there, because it makes my day tough. It makes all, you know, it's whatever it is, but that's life, man. And the circle of it. And it doesn't matter if we're older and we get something that we contract, or if it's our dogs and they get it, you know what I mean? Or cats or whatever. But we'll keep pushing forward with a positive thought for everybody in the business, whether you're dealing with your own mental issues that make you post things while riding on an elephant, a serious medical issue that we want you to kick out on, or something at home where you're dealing with, you know, pets and loss, or anything along those lines. We all go through it, but we're all here for each other at Hamin Media Group and the self-help groups. So I'll be back tomorrow night for here at twitch.tv/Hamin Media for the SmackDown watch along. I don't know if I can force myself to get through a 4-hour sitting with AEW right behind it, but yeah, everything's going down. Patreon.com/Hamin Media Group. Great week at Russo's brand this week doing Master Shoot Theater. Had a lot of fun with that with a big cliffhanger. So Russo TWC on Patreon. If you're not a member already, you'll really enjoy it. Anything else, Steve Areno?
No, that's about it. Go to the YouTube channel, check it out, search Stevie Richards. The newest video is actually the BWO Arena from Retromania Wrestling, coming to the DLC portion of that game soon. It's available on all platforms, as well as the arcade machine you see in my home gym, which is an iArcade cabinet. And of course, in the description, we got a ton of new affiliates that we got approved for, including I put out on Instagram these Zero shoes, which should help with the screw in my foot, which I'm just starting to figure out. I need some better shoes when I work out. So the Zero shoes is one of them. Also, we got Force USA, Diamondback Fitness, Soul Fitness. You love that Soul Fitness. That's,
Soul Fitness.
Yes, Soul Fitness, where we just got one of their treadmills in the home gym. So lots of ways to save money and especially support the channel. So just go there. You also the link for StevieRichardsFitness.com. Trying to figure out how to redesign it. The hardest thing is just getting started and thinking out the blueprint for the site so people don't get confused. And that's why it hasn't changed yet. But we're putting up recommended equipment, recommended this, reviews, along with the resistance band programs to try to give everybody a kind of a hub or one-stop shop for everything.
I just watched this thing on DAP yesterday too, saying put those products on your main page splash page because people might have been unaware that they even existed. So that should be one of the first things, the whole gambit of products. So look forward to that redesign, but we're not going to redesign anything until Elon reaches out and gives us a green light because it's all about what Elon's doing.
I'll take a 3. I don't need a Y. I know 3 is fine.
That's right. Well, it's the FLR possibly being sold as NFTs on HMG. It's SRF. It's Hacker Hamin. It's all of the acronyms that you can stand here on your Friday ultra declassified kayfabe locker room taping on Thursday. Infidels, Hamin Media Group, the Friday locker room. Stevie Cool, Ben Hamin. YOLO.